to another girl chat. Yes, we are back again with Miss Evelyn Inc. herself. Um, we have been doing these every Tuesday, weekly for at least like what, a month and some change now.
No, this is number seven.
Number seven.
Wait, is it number six? I think it's number six or seven.
Yeah,
We've
number
been doing it for a minute.
seven. Yeah, it's been a little while now, and so basically we come in on Tuesdays on alternating my channel, her channel, 2 weeks on mine, 2 weeks on hers, and we just have a girl chat. We have brought our personal phone conversations online to get you guys to participate and chime in and answer your questions the best that we know how, based on our experience, our life experience and expertise, and the influence of the Holy Spirit, really. And so we're so glad to be here another week. If you've been here with us, then you already know how this goes. Um, and so it's going to be very similar to the other ones. If you guys have any questions, I see a few of you guys coming in. If you guys have any questions, then definitely leave them in the comment section. Whether they have to do with what we're currently discussing or not, we will address it. So if you're unfamiliar with Evelyn, by the time, I'm sure y'all got it by now. But just for formality's sake, we're just going to go through it. And Evelyn, you can find her on the internet everywhere that you can find her. Um, Instagram, YouTube. She has 2 YouTube channels, Evelyn Inc. and Chef Evelyn. She is a chef, business strategist, entrepreneur. What else do you do? She has like 30 businesses. She's a speaker. She's everything, y'all. She's everything and more. If you're not following her on YouTube, you should be doing that already. I don't know why. You should probably do that. And if you're not following her on Instagram, then you should be following her on Instagram too, at Evelyn Inc. and Chef Evelyn. Okay? So, yes, if you guys are here, let us know that you're here, and then leave any questions in the comment section. Today, we're going to be doing a few things. I wanted to announce the book that we're going to be reading on my channel now, and it's actually inspired by Evelyn herself. And I think it's a really important book. I already started it. And so if you haven't already read this one, you definitely want to read this one with us. And it is called, let me get it right, The Audacity to Be Queen by, there it is, Gina DeVee. You guys want to read this book. For those of you guys who have loved our conversations on femininity, I think you'll really like this. And so it has some really interesting themes in here that I think it's really important. Let's see. Part one talks about your epic life is waiting. Number two, your royal invitation. Part three, qualities of a queen. Part four, the fully financed queen. Part five, queens do come true. And so I really think this is you guys are gonna enjoy this book, and I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm only like on like the third chapter. So go pick it up on Amazon or on Audible. That's how I'm doing it for the first time. It's my first experience with Audible.
Really?
Yes. So we'll see. Hey, Caribbean Curls. We'll see how I like it. I did listen to The Power of Vulnerability on here, but to me that's a little bit different than like listening to a book. So we'll see how it goes.
Side note, how did you like the Power? Did you listen to all 6 hours?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, you got, before we jump in, you got to tell me what you thought about that, because that it's intense.
It's there are so many things. There are so many things that she talks about. And I could get into a lot of things, but I think the main thing, or one of the things that hit me, was in the beginning when she talks about, or I don't know if it's in the beginning, but then when she talks about how when we perceive or see vulnerability, we perceive it as strength. But for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, when it comes to us and being vulnerable, we perceive it as weakness. And I'm like, why is that? Why is that? And it's so true, because when we see other people, like, wow, that takes courage. Like, oh, she's so courageous or confident, or she's, knows who she is and all this. But when it comes to us, I don't want people to see me as weak. I don't want people to see me as vulnerable. That to me was one of the like heavy hitters for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I probably have listened to that audio 3 times. I wish it was in an actual book form so that I could take notes. I mean, I've taken notes before, but I think it's from some kind of like workshop or intensive that she's done. I actually talk about that in my video that's coming out. Like, it's not a book, but even though it's not directly talking about femininity, that vulnerability is the basis of femininity. And so, like, yeah, the Power of Vulnerability by Brene Brown, the woman is in her wheelhouse. Like, that is her lane for sure.
Yes.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
loved it. I absolutely loved it. Hey, the Alston fam. Hopefully I pronounced
Hey, and hey, Caribbean Curls.
welcome, welcome, guys. So what I wanted to do today was to start off just giving a brief introduction about this book and some of the themes. And the first thing that because we did our little prep before the video that we thought that we wanted to talk about was, I guess I could phrase it like this: the link between spirituality and femininity,
Hmm.
really, and that you can't have one without the other. And in my opinion, you can't have one without the other. What do you think, Evelyn?
No, I think you're absolutely right. Well, let me say this. I don't think you can have femininity without your faith.
Right.
I think you can have faith and be lacking in your femininity, but you cannot get a full grasp on femininity, God's design for women, without the designer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I like.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And it's true. Women, we're spiritual. We just are. And you get that sense when you go in in our churches. You know what I mean? It's packed full of women. Whether it's in the pews or in leadership. And so that's a big chunk of um, our womanhood is our faith. You know.
So here's the thing, though. So let me ask you this: What do you? I know that femininity is a buzzword, right? Whereas 2 years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't a buzzword, or at least I would say in some of our communities. And um, I want to say this for me, I don't want to come across like I'm a femininity expert, because I'm not. I'm a student of femininity for sure because I've had my own journey. But what do you think about like this rise of femininity experts? And do you think that the majority of them are hitting the nail on the head?
Um, I think it's great that people are to coin your phrase returning to their femininity,
Mhm.
or at least seeing its value. Um, are most hitting it, hitting the nail on the head? I mean, from what I've seen, I would have to say no. I think
Mhm.
it's so much more powerful than what's out there. I will say, I think a lot of the information that is out there is valuable, even though it doesn't like grasp the fullness of femininity. Because I do feel like there are some who are still in 2020 not taking their womanhood seriously. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so I do feel like the information that's out there is valuable. However, I do feel like it's somewhat limited and doesn't
Mhm.
really grasp everything. And also, the use of it is to give you a greater sense of self, to walk in walk in what was designed for you, to be what you were designed to be, not necessarily to use it as a tool.
Mhm.
That's not where the emphasis should be, in my opinion, and as like sort of a manipulation tool, right?
Mhm,
But if that's just who you are, it's just who you are, and that's
mhm.
how you read, as opposed to focusing necessarily on the actions themselves and then using that to manipulate your surroundings. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would almost go. This is a strong statement, but I think to I'm willing to risk using this phraseology to drive your point home that I think femininity as a way of being is naturally influential. It's naturally um, it does bring you benefits without you even trying. I think when femininity is used with the sole purpose to manipulate and try to misuse people, then that's almost like a modern day version of witchcraft. Like, because you're using something that's so strong and so powerful and so influential. And if your motivation is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
um, or if you're leveraging it the wrong way, right? Then that can get a little sticky.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "How much does the book cost?" I love to read. You know what? I don't remember. I bought it on Amazon. I think it was under $30.
Yeah, I don't think it
Yeah,
was super bad.
yeah,
But
yeah. It was like, I mean, it says on the back 27, but US, but I don't think I paid 27 for it.
it
So
says 1889 on here.
yeah, so
That's just the first.
super, super. Oh, and Patricia, what you don't know is that the author has a free course that's going along with this right now that I'm going through.
Oh, really?
Mm, hmm
You might need.
I have the details.
Yes, send that my way.
Yes, it's got like video modules in there. It's got a workbook. Um, yeah, it's good. So,
I love it. I love it. No, I I agree with you. Um, Strong language or not, it is what it is, and
mhm,
yeah, we shouldn't be using our femininity like a magic wand. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And
mhm,
just focus on being um, women and what that means.
mhm,
Um, I was on Ayanla's live today, Van Zant. And I'm actually a really big fan of hers, and she's been doing these daily viral messages since the whole quarantine thing.
mhm,
And she's really big on sort of standing in your femininity and where you are. This morning, she talked about um, the fact that she is an elder. You know, she's a 60-year-old woman with wisdom, and the way she moves in the world is different than a 30-year-old. And she's standing in that, and she's living in that, and she takes pride in that. And, you know, I feel like we should be just as intentional about being women. You know, we are not men. We are something different. We hold a different place. We play a different role. That is valuable. And let me tell you something, the older I get, the more I see how valuable it actually is. It's like, dang, I'm just figuring this stuff out now. Like, it's just, you know, when you're younger, when you're a princess, it's about the pretty bows, and it's about looking nice, and it's about looking good to others and things like that. But when you really step into what it means to be what she calls a queen, right? um, it's so much bigger than that. You walk in with the I am, not I'm trying to be. You know what I'm saying? I am pretty. I am beautiful. You know, I do
mhm,
deserve to be in this space. I am, smart. I do deserve every good thing that I have, and um, it's just an amazing thing. It's a
mhm,
very powerful way of being and of living.
mhm, mhm. So let me ask you this: since we titled the video like Queen Mentality versus Princess Mentality, and full disclosure, ladies, I have already read the book in its entirety, so I will try not
I mean, do what
to
you
have
gotta do.
spoilers.
Do what you gotta do. I don't mind. I don't.
Um, But no, what do you think? I know how she's gonna define it in the book, but what do you think, just in general, like, what do you think the difference between a queen and a princess is?
Um, I think that um, a princess is the 12-year-old girl version of you. Um, she is the fairy tale. Um, she is I'm waiting to be saved, rescued. She is the uh, victim rather than
Mhm,
the game changer. And
mhm, mhm, mhm,
that's what I mean. I'm like I said, I haven't got to that part in the book, but that's what I see a princess as.
mhm, mhm.
Is that
And then what about the
right?
queen?
Is that where she kind of heads with that?
So, well, yes. So what she's going to get into later in the book is she's going to get into these archetypes. Okay, like a queen is an archetype. It's basically giving us something to kind of for our brain to wrap around, like a framework,
Mhm.
essentially, to tell the difference. What she's going to get into in the book is several archetypes: the princess, the martyr,
Ooh, the
the
Martin.
saboteur. Um, I mean, all of these different roles, the hardcore woman that's rough around the edges, right? Um, and so it gets really good. There's some exercises in the book that are going. I think if people do them, will shock you.
Hmm.
It will shock you. So, but she. I mean, it's really yes, like the overall theme was like the princess and then the queen, but the queen is kind of like the highest version of yourself. But then there's all these different archetypes, and you could have lived out or experienced multiple different archetypes throughout the journey. So yes, yeah, I think you're absolutely on point. I think there is multiple iterations of princess.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Hey, Miss Carter, welcome. So, number one, Super Juicy says, "How do you become feminine if you're not very shapely like a female, um, flat chested, etc., and if you feel your features are not stereotypically feminine?" Um, what do you think, Evelyn?
Oh, I have some things to say about that. Hey SJ, welcome back.
Welcome
Um,
back.
so a couple of things. That's a really good question. And I will say this. I think a lot of women, when the word femininity is introduced into their vocabulary on a consistent basis, the first thing is that a look, right? And I will say that the way you present yourself to a world is a piece of femininity, but it is not a one dimensional, it has to look like this. Femininity is not about pink or roses or bows or lace. Femininity is a way of being. It is a way of moving throughout the world. It is a way of communicating. It's a way of making decisions. It's a way of how you treat yourself. It's kind of like self-care is such a small portion of what it is to be a woman, right? The way you look and present yourself is a portion of what it is to be a woman. And so to answer your question specifically, God didn't make any mistakes when he designed you, right? And so um it's it's about what makes you feel the best, right? So if it's like, you know what, I have a slender frame, and I'm petite up top and whatever the case may be, work that. You know what I'm saying? There's no right or wrong formula on how you're supposed to look, or you're striving to one beauty standard. But I think the bigger thing underneath the question is not just about appearance. um I think some people start there, but I would tell you that, at least my experience, the femininity started from the inside out. And I'm at the tail end where I'm focusing now on the external. But a lot of the work happened internally. So, Patricia, what are your thoughts?
So I very much so agree. Someone asked what book are we speaking of? It is The Audacity to Be Queen. There it is by Gina DeVee. That is the next book that we're going to be reading on my channel. So if you don't already have it, get it. Okay. Um, I started it. Evelyn has already finished it. It's an amazing book, and so we're going to be discussing a lot of the themes in this book. And so femininity is obviously a major theme in this book. And so yes, so to answer your question, a feminine. I mean, the look really is the last. I would say it's one of the smallest pieces of this femininity puzzle, to be honest. And it's unfortunate that that's what's been sort of highlighted. And to me, it's just such a small piece. It starts inward first. It starts what do you bring to the table? How do you show up to the world? You know what I mean? Like we talked about this in another live before. There are people who are curved out, who make up beat to the gods, but they show up very masculine. Can I give you one
Mhm.
that we may know of? And that is Cardi B. Cardi B is masculine energy, but face beat to the gods, she paid for the curves that she has, hair laid, whatever you want to call it, but still, that's masculine energy all day. And that's just to use an
Mhm.
example, so you know what we're talking about. And
Mhm.
so part of um, I believe about femininity is self acceptance, for
Mhm.
who you are and what God has given you, and then playing that up. You know what I'm saying? Understanding your assets and playing it up according to what you like. All of us, we have things that we don't like about ourselves. You know what I mean? Like for me, I feel like my shoulders are real broad, and I think that's a very masculine feature. I know it's okay. It's okay. I'm sure you have stuff that won't make sense to me either. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like my shoulders are mad broad, and because I feel that way, I tend to wear V-necks because I feel like it makes my shoulders seem more slender. And so we all have our insecurities, you know what I mean, or features that we feel are not quote unquote feminine, but understanding how to downplay one thing, play up the other thing, is part of being feminine. So yeah.
Oh, and I want to say this, Patricia, because I definitely want to clarify with, or not clarify. I want to put emphasis on this.
Hmm.
Like we're both saying that the look of femininity is not the most important part.
Right.
But let's be clear, it is a part.
Yes.
Now, it's not about looking a certain way because you got one extreme like you were talking about with Cardi B, but then you got the other extreme of women who are like, it shouldn't matter how I look. It should be all about how what's inside my brain. And it's like, let me tell you, someone gave me a wonderful gift of a reframe, and they were like, your beauty is a gift that God gave you to share with others. And when I was like that your beauty as a woman, yes, you get to enjoy it, but it's for other people. Like, how many times have you seen a sis looking good and you be like, she looked good, and you just kind of felt she looked good, and you were like, dang, she looked good, and it kind of made your day. Like,
Hmm.
you know, like my mom ironically saw our thumbnail that I had put up, Patricia.
Hmm.
She had never seen you. Well, she had seen you before I had showed her a picture, right? And I showed her a little bit. She was like, "Oh, she's cute." I was like, "Listen, my friends are cute here." Um, and so, but I will say that you've got one camp who is exploiting their beauty,
Yes.
and that's that kind of manipulating influence, right? They're over sexualized and over the top. But then you've got another camp of women who look like they gave up on life, and you're like, or are leaning towards it shouldn't matter, and look, don't judge a book by its cover. But I can tell you, I can look at a woman and the way she presents herself, and I can tell you how she feels about herself, right? Not because there's a one size fits all standard, but I can tell, does she like the way she look? Has she put forth effort, or does she look tired? Okay. Does she look like I don't have time? I can't be bothered. And so I do think there's a camp of women who are trying to shun the fact that beauty is a part of femininity, and it is to be cultivated as a woman. Like I think about this, right? For those of you that are believers, right? When you think about the story of Esther, they put them women in beauty treatments for a year, a whole year, and made sure that it was included in the story, right? So there's something to be said about that. So while I want to make sure that people understand that it's not a one size fits all beauty standard, it's not solely about beauty. And a lot of people that are talking about femininity are going to talk to you about your hair and your nails and your clothes and whatever. Like Patricia said, it comes at the end, but also it is still important.
It
So okay.
it is, and one more thing that I want to add to that too, and it's not so much. Think of it as I like to think of it as a package. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And not so much. It's how you present yourself, right? We're all beautiful, right? But I think part of really the physical aspect of femininity is not just your natural beauty, but it's also, how well is your hair kept, whatever that means. How is your dress? What is your style? How did you choose to come to this particular event, and were you intentional about it, and does it look intentional? How do you smell? Are you smiling? Like, these are very sort of simple things that are not just curves and tiny waist, big hips, you know what I mean? So anyway, so Caribbean Curl says, "Do you think media is hypersexualizing children? I worry about my little cousin, especially as the media we consume a lot of times makes it such a commonplace. I don't know how to avoid it. How do you unfollow, um, delete, block? I mean, just to be like, seriously, and guys, it's not harmless. It's
It's not.
consider it a emotional and mental attack. That's how, like, I hate to be so direct like that, but seriously, consider it an attack on your psyche. Delete, block, unfollow. Seriously, if you
Stop watching.
and it's stop watching it, and it's not about hating. It's not about you are protecting your mind, the avenues of your mind, the avenues of your heart. And so that's what I would say. I don't know what you think. What do you think, Evelyn?
Let me tell you. So I can speak to this directly as someone who has not watched TV in 7 years. I have videos on my channel about when I gave up TV, and you can go and watch them if you want, whatever. But let me give you my synopsis. One of the reasons why I stopped watching TV is because of the imagery, not just on the shows, but in the commercials. That I realized I did an experiment. And so Patricia, this is gonna be a long answer, but let me just
Go
hear me out.
ahead.
So I first did an experiment where I was like, I'm gonna go 30 days without watching TV. And that's how I started. And that was probably circa 2011, 2012. And then the next year I did 90 days, right? And then by the time 2013 got here, I was on this. I want to see if I can do 1 year without TV. And that's the last time I've had cable. I don't even have a working TV. Um, and so each time I almost felt lighter, like physically lighter. I almost felt um like I weighed less. And this is not about weight, but like I realized that all of these images or um what I saw on shows or where, like, as a dark skinned woman, if there was a natural woman on TV, she was very racially ambiguous. Like there was all these images that, to Patricia's point, are not harmless. You have to guard your gates. And so eye gate, ear gate. And then also, it was just things that I felt like for me, TV was becoming, or shows were becoming, more and more vulgar and more violent. And so I did not want to be desensitized. And like, this is no judgment to, like, let me just say this. I don't want to judge. I'm not judging anybody who chooses to watch whatever, but I was not into murder for entertainment. I was not into, this is supposed to be a regular show and I don't even understand why there's 7 6 scenes in a 30-minute episode. Like like I just, it was causing me to be more insecure and consume more and do all these things. So to your point, how do you control it? You get to control it, right? And what a lot of people don't know is that the brain doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So as you're watching things on Instagram, even if you consciously know that their picture has been photoshopped and they've had surgeries and injections and filters, your brain still doesn't know the difference. So when you see a girl every day and she's got a filter on and you don't understand for the life of you why your skin can't look like hers, because your brain doesn't know the difference, even if you know that it's false, even if you know it's a movie, even if you know that it's fictional. And so some people may say that that's radical. I remember when I had moved from one place to another during that time when I wasn't watching TV and I was getting my internet set up. And the cable guy was like, you're not getting cable? And I was like, no. He was like, what are you gonna do with your time? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Read a book, hang out with my friends, listen to music, go to concerts, go out to eat, go to church, start a business. Like, I was like, what do you mean? What am I going to do with my time? So, my long winded answer to you in love is you get to choose the influences. And so, I just started getting really particular about um, what I was consuming: magazines, books, Instagram feeds, social media accounts, other accounts. And I think, Patricia, do you have a video about this on your channel? I know I do, where I talked about like curating my influences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so you got to think about this, right? Some people come home from work and then they sit in front of a TV from 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock. That's 20 plus hours a week. If you think that that's not affecting your brain, the kid's brain, or something like that, even if you just think it's harmless entertainment, nah. And I'm not saying here and there, I'm not saying I've never watched a show or a movie or something like that since, but it's like if I had to add up how much time in a week I'm consuming external content that I can't control the motivation, it's probably under 3 hours a week. Okay, so go ahead. Okay. That's my long answer.
No, yeah, I agree with everything that you said. And I think what's detrimental, and at least for me, and I noticed this because it crept up on me. It really did. Like, so growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch TV Monday through Friday. And so we were only allowed to watch TV on the weekends, which half of the weekend we were at church all day. And
Mm-hmm.
so literally it was only one day a week, half day a week. And that was like in the era we went outside. So we didn't spend that one day inside watching TV anyway. And so obviously movies were limited and things like that. And my parents had to watch it first, or if they seemed to look fishy, they're like, nah, you're not gonna watch that. And so basically, because of that reason, I got used to a life without TV. To in my adulthood, that has been my same experience where I just don't watch it. I might commit to a show where I'll ask my friends like, hey, I want to watch one thing. What should it be? You know what I'm saying? And so the last thing, but it will never stick. I know the last thing I can't. It just won't stick. But what snuck up on me was Instagram online, because I felt that as harmless. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things I don't like to watch. I just can't tolerate it because I haven't really watched TV. I haven't really watched movies. I'm not like every little thing. It's like, oh, I can't. What's that movie that the one that was like a scary movie, but it turned out to be like a woke movie. Um, Dang it. What was it? Please, y'all help
Oh,
me out in the comment section.
um, um,
Ooh,
oh,
help me out.
teacup. Out,
Huh? Get out.
get out.
Yes, yes.
Never watched.
So here's the thing. I was convinced it was a horror movie. Like, no, Trisha, you woke. Thank you, Gabs. You woke. I know you gonna love it. Da da da. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it until my sister. Yes, yes, get out. My sister and my brother-in-law was like, no, sit down. Go watch this one for the culture. Whatever. And that's how I saw it. But for the longest, I was like, no, it's a scary movie. I don't like blood, gory, whatever things jumping out at me. It gives me my heart attack. I can't. And so my blood pressure, and so it took all them sitting me down and seeing it first to get me to see it. But what crept up on me was Instagram. And I talked about this on my channel before, how I was dealing with some like body dysmorphia, and all of a sudden I had issues with my body, which had literally, I hadn't dealt with in a long time, and some thoughts that were creeping up. And I was just like, how? Why? Like, what has changed in my life? I mean, a lot has changed in my life at that point, but it was like, why all of a sudden am I having these thoughts? And come to think, it's, seeing stuff on Instagram, seeing stuff on Facebook, and internalizing it. Like, all of a sudden, my standard of beauty is changing, and it looks like this, and I'm subconsciously comparing myself. And so it's, don't consider these images harmless. Whether it's TV, Netflix, or whatever, cable, whatever, Instagram, Facebook, shut it off. YouTube, yes.
If you
Shut it
don't find
off.
this helpful, girl, log off.
Right. We love you. We want the best for you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did a video about the joy of following, right? And in my video, I was like, listen, this to me. And they are, but nobody's putting a gun to our head and says you have to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's Instagram or whatever, like, I really got, and Patricia, super intentional about, why am I following this account? Like, even if it's not bad, but it's like I'm gonna tell you account I was following. I was following this lady who has a business, and her daughter got into a really tragic accident. Like, it was just like a freak accident. Her little bitty girl, and like, her daughter is like nonverbal now. Like, I mean, she was a regular little girl, but now her daughter is nonverbal. She was in a hospital for months or whatever, and I remember going, like, every time I saw an update from her, I'd like be in tears. I don't know this woman. I would be in tears because I'm very empathetic in that way. And then I remember one day going, I really wish her daughter the best, but I can't be on this emotional roller coaster with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
That her, because she makes these great art prints, and while I think it's totally okay for her to be open and share her story, and I've prayed for the little girl and I wish them the best, but I found myself being like depressed about this little girl. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know if we were designed to handle everybody's drama, particularly if you're not sensitized. Like, I knew this was somebody's real life. I saw the mother crying, the dad crying, and every time she did an update, it like wreaked havoc on me emotionally, because I just have such a sensitive spot for kids. And so I remember one day going, I think I'm gonna have to unfollow. Not because, so this is what I mean by, it doesn't even have to be like bad per se, but it was like, this is her true authentic experience, right? And it is absolutely her right to share that experience and get encouragement or whatever. Equally,
Mm-hmm.
it is okay for me to go, this is wearing me out emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't care. It's not that I won't pray for them and wish them the best, but I can't handle watching your stories about your daughter in the hospital and this person and these people dying. And like, so equally, just as much as I don't want it to be something overly masculine or something overly sexualized or something overly violent. And it's not that I'm trying to live in a world where, bad things don't happen, but it was like, my own life will give me enough to keep me busy, that I don't necessarily have to take on everything. And so I unfollowed.
And that's what
This is how serious I am about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Angelic Impression says, I believe when you embrace your femininity, you love your exterior in a completely different way. So true. You see what society may consider as flaws as something that makes you special and different. I like that.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Um, let's see. SJ says, I'm massively insecure by beauty standards in media. I don't match any of them.
Girl, neither do I.
Yeah, girl.
Listen, I'm a 5'4", size 14, dark skinned black woman with natural hair. You know what I mean? Like short, thick, natural hair, dark skin. And so I will say this, I had to choose to like me this way. Like when I was growing up, I used to get teased really, really bad. Like, listen, we could do a whole mini series on that. And I remember going, this is not going to work for me in the long term. Like I just got sick and tired of being insecure. And it was more so of a choice. And I can't remember the exact scripture, but it talked about not casting your confidence aside. And that was the first time that I was like, that means I put it down somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so when I was in therapy, I had to go back and go, when did I go from thinking that I was fine to thinking that the way I was born, something was wrong with it? Girl, I chased that thing all the way back to elementary school. But like, I had to figure out, when did I take my confidence and cast it aside? And I went back there and I picked it back up. So I would encourage you to go, when in your life do you think you started feeling massively insecure? What happened? Who said something? What did you see? What did somebody say? And then ask yourself, or answer the question, why is that not true? Like, they may have said that, but here's all the reasons why that's not true, and start there. Girl, now you can tell me that I'm so chocolate. Listen, I be like, listen, people like, I don't want to be in the sun. Give me the sun. Here, I want to be chocolatey, smooth chocolate, Dove, deep dark chocolate, Ghirardelli, dark brown, with all these thighs that I earned. Okay.
Anyway. Yes. Here's the thing. We have to get to a point where we need to set how we feel about ourselves, separate of anybody and anything. And it's hard. It's hard not to have a external measurement. But when it comes to what God has given you, that's nobody else's business to analyze and critique and to set any standard to measure yourself against. And it's just not. It's like, whether you give me a compliment, thank you. But I knew that before you said it. And there's nothing arrogant about that. Nothing arrogant about that. And then if you have something bad to say, that's not true. But that's your opinion. And right. I guess you are entitled to that. And keep it moving, good or bad. I am because I am. And that is literally it. Let me tell you, insecure, your girl was insecure about everything I could possibly find to be insecure about. There were times in my life where I was like, dang, I've never been insecure, but I should probably start being insecure about, like, seriously, like, that's how bad it was. Okay. But now you can't tell me nothing. You literally cannot tell me nothing. And I don't mean that in a bad way or whatever. You can't tell me nothing. You just can't. You just can't. Because
what you gonna say? First of all, if you say something to me that's out of pocket or like about my appearance or something, that I'm gonna look at you like you crazy and be like, that don't have nothing to do with me. Like whatever your perception is of me, I know it sounds cliche. It's none of my business.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I don't care. Like so here's where the femininity comes in, because there's a confidence there. I can look at me and be like, yo, your girl is fine. And it's not demeaning to the next woman.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can also look at another woman and be like, she working what she got. You know what I'm saying? Just like I'm working what I got. If you want to put it in the dating context, I remember the day that I was like, listen, the man that's for me, or the men that are going to like me, are going to like me. Like they going to be into my type of look. They going to want that thick, short, dark skin, natural hair, and they're going to think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then when I encounter people, which I don't anymore, because I think I give off the aura, I don't even encounter people who, like, even if I'm not their type, like, it's not in an offensive way. And I don't be offended, like, because you may not be my type. Like, I'm so aware that God didn't make a mistake on me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you do you not see? Do you not see all of this? Whatever was, whatever size I've been, when I didn't have, clear skin, whatever. It was like I'm one of a kind.
Yep.
You know how expensive that is to be one of a kind? And here's the thing, like I'm telling you, when you have thoughts about yourself, if you cannot finish that phrase with "and that's how I like it,"
Mm,
then you need to strike the thought down.
mm,
Just like what you said, when somebody gives you a compliment, in your mind, you should be able to be like, I already know that.
mhm.
When somebody be like, "Ooh, oh my God, you have such a pretty smile," I be thinking, "Thanks, I know that." You know what I'm saying? I don't say it. I don't say it. But I be thinking it. When they be like, "Girl, ooh, oh my God, your skin is so smooth," I be thinking, "Thanks." Tell me something I don't know. You know what I'm saying? When they be like, "Girl, you fine," I be thinking, "I'm glad you noticed because I already know." You know what I'm saying? But like, I want y'all to be on that level of you. What you can't tell me nothing. You see this, and this is not about Evelyn or looking like Evelyn, or looking like Patricia. For you, if you're slender, petite, like you said, smaller up here, you know what I'm saying, got the petite, slender frame, be like, do you not see this model body? You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Like, I have a big forehead. Do you not see this model forehead? Do you not see these thick cheeks? What is this? Anyway, don't get me hyped.
I love
I just be like, what? What you gonna say?
I love it. Till
Okay,
till
Patricia,
this
stop me, because you
day,
know I'm gonna act up.
when Joshua gives me a compliment, he's like, "Oh, babe, you look good." I'm like, "I know, but thank you." And he'll like roll his eyes or whatever.
He
But
like it.
listen, I did it while we were dating. It was like a cute little joke, whatever. But it was like he knew, he knew how I felt about myself. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? In that, though I appreciate the compliments, um, I don't depend on them.
Come, oh, say it again for the people in the back.
Though I appreciate the compliments, I don't depend on them.
Right.
They don't serve me. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't serve me, and that's just what they are, and that's compliment. I'm not giving them more power. I'm not giving them more value. They're just compliments. They're nice compliments.
Because I think if you live by the compliments, you'll die by the insults.
Because oh,
You know what I'm saying? And once I realized, like, oh, if I'm hanging on to this, then conversely, I'm hanging on to that. And people will what it's kind of like, let me tell you, in the black community, one day light skinned in, one day dark skinned in. It's This is why I'm not a fan of like making crazy permanent alterations to yourself, because people change their mind the way the wind blows.
mm-hmm.
One day, relaxed hair is in. One day, Jerry curls in. One day, natural hair is in. Now there's a movement on YouTube. Okay, we had the movement on natural hair. Now you got the movement on YouTube of I'm tired of my natural hair. I want to relax it.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
You know, one day light skin, light eyes is in. The next day, they want you to look like you're a South Sudanese model, right? Like, and it's like my human design is not a fad. It's not a fashion statement. And so, right now you see these people, they putting fillers in their lips. And, I remember when big butts wasn't a thing, okay? And you got to talk bad about if you had one. Now everybody want one, right? But give it 15, 20 years, the flat booty's going to be back in. So I just decided, y'all be on the roller coaster. I'm going to be over here on the podium,
Okay.
firmly planted in my finest.
I can't. I can't. And
As long
that's
as
just
I fly, my
what it is.
beauty is. Hmm?
And that's gonna be what it is.
Yes.
Let's see. Angelic Impression says, "What a boring, uninteresting world it would be if we all looked the same. Thank God he
Yep.
created us differently." Right? Um, Erica says, "Hello, ladies. I just woke up from a nap. I'm so happy I didn't miss the whole thing. Y'all look amazing." Hey, Erica. Love it. You know how expensive one of a kind is? Yes, it is, honey. Mr.
Hmm.
B says, "Hey y'all, what I missed? A lot. I have cute. Oh, Katiwe 5 says, haha. That's how I am with compliments, rolling on the floor. And they just look at me. Yes, girl, you know that you look good. It's all about choice, and you will get to the point where you love yourself regardless. I love it. Gab says self acceptance really goes a long way. Even those tens, by society standards, are really insecure, slowly getting sucked down the
Let
nipple
me
to
pause
the
right
throat.
there. Let me pause
Mm-hmm.
right there. First of all, I don't even use they scale. What's a 10? Do you know how many numbers are in the world? I'm a 500 trillion. What you mean
Yes.
a 10? You can be a 10. I'm 500 trillion million gazillion. I don't even want to use your scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where I want y'all to get. Who set the scale? Why is it only the 10? It's kind of like when people use the phrase overachiever. I hate that. What's the limit? Over what? Over average?
Mm.
No, I'm a high achiever, right? What you mean over? Over you? You know what I'm saying? Girl, listen, when I tell you confident, let me tell you, we talking about femininity queen, all the things. Confidence and vulnerability, like, probably make up 50% of being feminine, right? Like, being just so aware and rested in who you are. I don't even want to use your scale. It's not big enough for me. How about that? Okay, y'all done got me hyped. Let me, Patricia, keep going.
Here's the thing, and this is how you got to look at it too, because yes, I'm beautiful, right?
Mhm.
But no, really. But when you realize what you bring to the table, like that's when it really hit me. Like around, like a little out after college, where I was like, ooh, like I am bad. Like seriously, like what you bring to the table, because it's like, guys, it's like you. Okay, say we about to eat, y'all are hungry, and I'm like, y'all, I have this apple. It's red, it's plump, it's juicy, it's shiny, but it don't taste good. Do you want it? No. You don't want the apple because it's not just about the look. There's got to be substance to it. And that's what it is. How you show up, your knowledge, your education, your energy, how you affect the atmosphere of a room. You know, these are the totality of what you bring to the table. Your spirituality, your spiritual energy, the gifts that you give people, the words that you give people. Are they positive? Are they uplifting? Are they inspiring? Like these are all. This is your package. People should just love to be around you, and that's part of your beauty. You ever seen a pretty girl by whatever them standards are out there, and they're just a nasty person? It doesn't serve anyone any good. There's no substance. It's a pretty apple without substance. And we have to stop glorifying pretty apples out here. You know what I mean? We have to glorify feminine women. We have to glorify spiritual women. We have to glorify educated women. Like,
Mhm.
I'm done. I'm,
Listen, because I think you're absolutely right. Let me tell you why. I think the reason why my confidence is on 500 trillion, yes, there's a physical piece. And I think the reason why I get hyped about that is because I had to work so hard to get there. But when I do think about, like, you almost have to do like a brag sheet on yourself, right? And it's not even just the things you accomplish externally. Like, I, the fact that I have a spicy personality, somebody's gonna love that about me. I love that about me. I can have a tendency to be funny. That's amazing. These are not things that I went out and got. Those things are enhancement too. But like, I'm talking about just the way God made me. I have a tendency to be funny. I have a tendency to be a little spicy. I have a tendency to I can read through the phone when my friends are having issues and need to talk. I can smell an issue and get to the root of it right away. I've got discernment, right? I've got wisdom. I've got the, like, once I realized that even having a conversation with me is your lucky day, like, because of how God made my mind, and then he put it in this package. You know what I'm saying? So to Patricia's point, it's, and then yes, then okay. So once it's just how my natural disposition, and the versus, and instead of fighting against it, embracing it. Now, all of it needs to be managed, okay? Because the spicy unmanaged can be a little bit much, right? Um, but it's like, then even after you get outside of just your natural disposition, your natural way of being, then it's like, oh, she got 2 engineering degrees, right? Oh, she got 2 culinary degrees, right? Oh, she got a business, right? Oh, she did that. Like, Now, someone, let me just say this. Those are bonuses, but let me take a sharp right turn here, Patricia. A lot of women lead with their accomplishments, and that's very masculine.
Yes, it is.
Because that is, if you want to talk about dealing with a man, that's not what he's looking for you for. It's bonus, like that's cool, but that's what we look for them for, right? But that's not what they look at us for.
Mhm.
They're looking at us like all the things, how God made us, what is your disposition, how do you affect the room, how do you speak, how, are you fun to be around? They're looking at that, and that's things to be cultivated, but that's things that God already gave us.
Mhm.
We can add things on top of that, but don't lead with that, though. That's just bonus. So anyway, okay, I don't know why I felt the need to say that.
No, I like it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. There was something I wanted to address here. Um, SJ says I got to hear on the screen. Oh, I'm trying to scroll back to it. Where is
It
it?
says, yeah, Hollywood sets the beauty standards and the scale. I feel there is a genetic lottery through by society standards, and it's European.
Here's the thing, and I think I have a very different opinion on this. I think about, like, when I tell you I am so far on my own that what society's doing doesn't bother me none. And you have to get to the point. There are people who are just so focused on, I don't care that they fill in their lips. I don't care that they getting all the BBLs and all of this. And you know what? Truth be told, let me tell you, it's our community now that's starting to this whole nip and tuck trend. Okay, there's a lot of us that are enhancing the features that we've been naturally given just to compete with them. They copying us and we copying them back. No, please,
No.
please stop. Please stop. To me, um, I am so much in my own little corner. I don't care what every our lighter skinned sisters are doing. To me, they are beautiful in their own right. And that doesn't
Mhm.
challenge my beauty. That doesn't compromise my beauty. I'm not threatened by that statement at all. You know how
Yeah.
many and especially older white women, I get stopped. Actually, second to black men, I get stopped by white women the most. The most. Like
Mhm.
literally, I was at work a few months ago, and this maybe in her late 60s, and she was just like in mid sentence. She's the case manager, and she was like, I'm so I'm just so sorry. You are beautiful. Like you are gorgeous." And it was like kind of uncomfortable a little bit because we were talking about a patient, whatever. And she's like, "I'm sorry. I just had to say that." You know what I mean? And so you looking at them, they looking at you. Listen, I'm just gonna stop the cycle. Appreciate all that's there because all of it is a testament to God's glory and God's greatness and His
Mhm.
creativity, right?
Mhm.
So I don't subscribe to that. I really don't. I really
I don't either.
don't. Angelic Impression says, when I think about what I have overcome, I see myself as the most beautiful being ever. Yes, girl,
Mhm.
yes. Miss Carter says, when Evelyn holds her masterclass, I'm confident I'm going to be number one on the list. LOL. I'm a slacker in the confidence department.
Listen, I heard somebody say, and I can't remember if Gina DeVee talks about it in the book, but when she talks about when you have an area that has been the weakest in your life, when you repair it, it becomes one of the strongest.
Mhm.
And I will share very transparently. I remember being in the third grade, and I remember, I mean, just the level of teasing was so bad. Eventually, my mother had to move me out of the school district. So I'm talking about intense. I remember very specifically being in the bathroom, praying to God that He would make me look like Whitney Houston or Janet Jackson.
Mm.
He just like begging and pleading at 9 years old that I could not look that way. And then I remember being in my 20s and going, I'm so glad you didn't answer that prayer.
Mm.
Uh, and just that change, right? And so because that was an issue that was so so bad for me at one point in time. I mean, you name it, from, having, what do they call it, like strawberry legs, to being dark skinned, to being like, I used to be severely underweight growing up and in high school and my first part of college. Like, I was like really, really, really slender. Um, I got teased about that. And then on the flip side, and I was just like, you know what? But when you have an area that I think the reason why my confidence is so strong now is because I had to fight to get it back. I had to do a lot of work to get it back, and it ain't nothing nobody can do.
Mhm.
Say, watch my Birdman hands. It ain't nothing nobody can do or say out here. No, I'm right. You know what I'm saying? Because I've lived the other existence and it was miserable. So I chose a different existence. And I will say this, I know it sounds cliche. I know it's hard to grasp this. It literally was just a change of mind.
Mhm.
And you can't teach people that. It's just, I just woke up one day and was like, hey, being not confident is not working. So what if we try something else? And then the things that I needed once I made the decision to help me get there started coming to me. So that's what I want to say about that.
The conversation in the chat is about taking compliments.
You want to start that, or you want me to start that?
Um, getting in the cycle of compliments, like we sort of alluded to earlier, is dangerous. Good or bad compliments, comments, they just are, and they are separate of. They should be separate of how you feel about yourself. But if you get a compliment and you have trouble in believing um, what they're saying, I hope you know the problem is with you, right? And that's not with them. It's that you don't believe what they're saying is true. Maybe some of you think that they actually are lying, right? And you may have that belief. Um, but what's even more damaging is not believing what they're saying is true. And that basically is saying that you don't have a good self image, a good view of just how amazing and just how beautiful you are. I was uncomfortable at a point with compliments. I was born and raised in New York, and at that time, it wasn't popular to be like, "Oh, hey, sis, so you look good," or da, da. It was very competitive back in that day, especially there. It was like, I don't tell you where I got my shoes from. I don't tell you where. Like, it was very that. And so when my family moved to Maryland, it was a little different out here. Just the culture was a little bit different. Just like, oh, I like your hair. Oh, I like you, whatever. And I was also in contact with a lot of our lighter skinned sisters here, and so they moved a little bit differently. And compliment, and I'm just like, ooh, why is she saying that? Like, what you mean? Like, I just was very suspicious about a why they were saying that, and b I didn't believe it. Not at the time. Not at the time. And so that means you need some internal work to be done. And then once you repair that part of you, get self image, how you see yourself, compliments, it'll be like you'll get to the point where you're just like, yeah, I know. I mean, you don't have to say it. You don't have to be, but just be like, yeah, I am. I know I am. I believe that about myself. I agree with what you're saying because it's
Hmm.
true, right? And I
Hmm.
know that even before you said it. What do you
Hmm.
think, Evelyn?
And I want to add this to the conversation about compliments in the chat. There's a muscle that women, I think modern women, have not exercised well, and that is the muscle of receiving. And I don't want to. I mean, Patricia and I have had this conversation in detail. G's going to get into it in the book, but men are givers, women are receivers. If you can't receive a compliment without brushing it off or being like, oh, oh, this old thing, or oh, whatever, girl, like, like, I used to have this one where people would tell me my hair would look good, and I'd be like, really? Because it's wash day and it's dirty and it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I was deflecting it back because to receive it was almost uncomfortable, right? And so, to Patricia's point, it was about self-perception and being true about what I knew to be true about me, but also like that muscle of receiving. It's the same way where like if somebody wants to hold the door for you and you're like, "Oh, I got it." Why? Let them hold the door. If somebody wants to carry something for you, like I think I told Patricia this, or maybe we talked about it on a live stream. But I recently went to this sale for like Lakers Day earlier in the year before we was all on lockdown, and I bought when I tell you the smallest amount of stuff, like it was a small amount. And when I get ready to go out, there's this group of men who are working there because some of the stuff that you could purchase was fairly heavy, but I had this itty bitty bag, y'all. They were like, we gonna hold the bag for you so you don't have to carry it to your car. Go get your car, bring it around, and we'll put it in your car. And I was like, y'all, this was like lighter than a bag of groceries, okay? And these three men are like, and I was like, I started to be like, it's just, and then I paused. I chuckled to myself and I said, go ahead and receive this support, right? I don't care if it's 3 ounces. They don't want you to carry it. So I politely handed them my little bitty bag, okay, politely walked myself around to my car, drove up, didn't even get out the car, let this man carry this itty bitty bag and put it in my backseat. And when I tell you, it made his day to carry my itty bitty bag that probably was less than 2 pounds. So when it comes to compliments, somebody holding the door, somebody want to buy you something nice, somebody want to treat you, male or female, I heard Bishop Jakes say one time, you got to receive it even if it's uncomfortable until you learn a new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So even if somebody says, "Oh, Evelyn, your hair looks great," and I want to be like, "Really? I feel like I'm having a bad hair day." Right? Even if that's what I'm feeling at the time, thank you. I really appreciate that. You made my day. Done. Hold it. Receive it. And I think when Patricia and I have talked about this privately, I was like, even physiologically, can I speak? Because
Go ahead.
is
Go
that a word?
ahead.
Physiologically,
Mm-hmm.
we are receivers and men are givers, right? Part of being a feminine woman is to receive from men, from God,
Mm-hmm.
from other people, and to take that in. And our our receiving muscle is broke
Mm-hmm.
for a lot, and we are over giving and over functioning and doing the most. And it's because we don't understand the dance of the masculine and feminine. We think like because we like to receive, that say that men like to receive. And you ever seen a man, like on Father's Day or his birthday, and he'd be like, "I really didn't want nothing," and it makes him uncomfortable, and he still want to pay, even though he the day, and you be like, "How you trying to pay on Father's Day?" Because their natural design is to give.
Mm-hmm.
They it, the just the way we feel is good when somebody gives us flowers, gives us compliments, buys us a gift, whatever the thing we like, they have that same feeling except for on the giving end. And because we're not wired that we don't get it. I don't need to get it though to let it be. Right? So compliments is the first sign when you can that there may be a struggle with the femininity, as well as like Patricia said, with the confidence, that you've got to learn to receive it, don't deflect it, don't and you don't always have to give one right back, because that's another form of deflection. Oh girl, I like your dress. Thank you. Oh girl, your shoes are so cute. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm done.
Just practice saying thank you before you can get to that point. Miss Carter asked a very good question, which I do want to get to, but there's something that's pretty interesting happening in the comment section. Caribbean
Okay.
Girls is saying, ladies, what are a few favorite things that you love about yourself, a feature and a quality? So I'd love for everybody who's watching to answer that question. Name something that you love about yourself. I think we definitely have space for that. A quality about yourself that you love. Um, Brit Brit's college life said, I had the same issue of taking compliments from men. I would brush it off too. I know it's from my father because I took I lost my place. Because I took on the hurtful lies I had been receiving for years. So she literally believed that people were lying to her when they said this, or men were lying to her when they said this. I actually think it's great that you've identified that. That says a lot. Hmm?
if you say it's from your father, I would recommend the book to you, The Fatherless Daughter Project.
Write it down, girl.
The Fatherless. I'm gonna talk about it in my video that's coming out on Thursday, but like immediately.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, yes, yes.
keep going.
Brit's Life says, I've been getting it all wrong. My view on independence might be off. Now, let me tell
I'm not okay.
you.
Who?
Now, so here's the thing. Let me tell you. Um, there are there are definitely societal views, and how some society has shaped women has not been it has not served us, to be honest. And one of the things is the idea of an independent woman. And there's so many things I can say here, guys, and I don't want to. I don't want this to run too much longer. As good as it is, I need to go put dinner together for my husband. But let me tell you, from the very beginning, let's trace it back right to biblical times. Um, Adam was created, man was created, and then woman. When we got here, there was people already here. When we got here, we came into a community essentially. And so this idea of being independent, I actually don't believe is a feminine concept at all. Women need, this may be a really controversial statement, but to me it's just a fact, community. So the idea of being independent, it's just false in the way that it's sort of framed, right? And I can appreciate the idea of being self sufficient. I appreciate the idea of being educated. I can appreciate the idea of being financially smart and capable, right? Everything that the Proverbs 31 woman is. However, this our independence and our ability to take care of ourselves shouldn't devalue the role of a man in our life. And unfortunately, that's what it's done. And then they have no room, they have no place. They have no place to give because we are standing in all of those roles. And so they don't, and I think it has definitely negatively impacted our interaction with men. What do you think, Evelyn?
Well, girl, let me try to keep it short. First of all, I 100% agree with everything that you said, and I'm gonna go as far as to say that when you said women need community, I 100% agree with that. I believe that all humans need community. Um, and I'm going to take it a step further and say I believe that women need men and men need women. We were
Yeah.
designed that way. And so I think, again, I'm going to reiterate that I agree with you when you say, I think a lot of women got the difference between being a self-sufficient, like being able to take care of yourself, like I should be able to feed myself and bathe myself and all that kind of stuff. I think we got that confused with being independent, and it's really about interdependence, right? And I want to say this, because both of you and I are believers, and so a lot of our thoughts come from that. But when you think about the fact that Adam was already here when Eve got here, right? And if you go through the Bible, a woman was never uncovered. She was either in her father's house or married. There was no in between. So much so that if a woman's father died or if a woman was married and her husband was deceased, there is very in the Old Testament there's details about how another man needs to take over and cover her, right?
Well,
And
and if there
so
wasn't someone
um
available,
hmm?
and if there wasn't someone available, the church would take care of the widows, or the community would take care of the widows. And yeah,
Yes, matter of fact, if you go and you translate orphan back into the original language, it doesn't mean, modern context says that an orphan is you don't have parents at all. In that context, it was just you were fatherless.
right.
And so even when you think about, people getting married symbolically, the reason why the father is walking the mother down the aisle is because he's transferring his covering of the daughter to now the husband, right? And so we were never left uncovered. So this idea, particularly for women to be independent, is actually counterproductive. It's been harmful. Somewhere somebody told us that we don't need either other people or men. And I'm not even just talking about in a romantic sense, that we need each other. I think, like you said, it is not a feminine trait at all. When I hear women screaming about independence, it is a eyebrow raiser that they are probably heavily into their masculine.
Mm.
So I just like that whole notion, like we were never without men, and we were never without covering, we were never without support. Um ever. That there's a whole protocol. Even if you think about the US government, right? When a woman, if her husband dies before she does, the government steps in and says, "We will cover you with income." Even if y'all got divorced and he never married, like it's so ingrained, and it's like, girl, it's for our benefit. Like I, I said, we said we weren't gonna use the S word, so I'm not gonna use the S word. But anyway, but the point is, it's for our benefit to not be independent,
Mhm.
right? So that's what I have to say about that.
Candace Jackson says, for the longest, I would say I was low maintenance, not realizing what I was really saying about myself. I thought I was using terms of endearment, SMH. We've definitely discussed that in other lives too. The idea of being low maintenance.
I did a whole video on it.
Yeah, Evelyn did a whole video on it. Yeah, and I touched on it too in my last singles club video. I can't remember what I entitled it. But I talked about the idea of being low maintenance and what that says about yourself. Marketing yourself that way, having high
Hmm.
standards and setting those standards early and teaching people how to treat you. I mean that's standing in your womanhood. I'm
Hmm.
loving like all of these compliments and back and forth, the love and all these good things that
Yeah.
you guys love about yourself. It's so amazing.
The
Um,
chat is fired today. I love it.
Yes, uplifting today. You guys, if this is the first time you're tuning in, hey, what's up? My name is Patricia. We got Evelyn in the house today. If you're not subscribed to our channels, go ahead and subscribe to our channels. I'll drop it here. Can I put it in the comment section here?
I think I can.
You can? Okay. Let's go ahead and drop your tag in there. Follow us on Instagram and on YouTube if you're not already. We're doing this every Tuesday while we're locked up for now, and maybe afterwards if you guys, well, you guys do seem to be enjoying it. And so we've already done 2 weeks on my channel. So the plan still to bring it to your channel in 2 weeks.
Yes.
For the next 2 weeks,
Yes.
yes. So next Tuesday, it'll be on Evelyn's channel, and then we'll resume there with some more topics and everything. I really enjoyed this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all the love. And I hope that it was, and I pray that it was useful to you and that you enjoyed your time here. And for any of you guys who are watching on the replay, thank you for joining us. SJ says, what about you, Patricia and Evelyn? One quality and feature each. Okay. Okay, girl. Um, just one? Okay.
Right.
Um, gosh. I'm trying to figure out what someone might not know that I like. I actually like my long eyebrows. Just
Girl, can I pause? When I first started following you, I was like, her brows. Oh, like if you could have a brow crush, I have a brow crush. I still have a brow crush. Go ahead. Okay.
Thank you. I love my breath. For the longest, to be honest, I used to pluck the mess out of them. Back in the just tiny, and I used to shorten them because I felt like they were too long. I was like, whose brows are all the way down here? It made no sense. So I used to cut them like about right here, cut the tail off, thin, just a mess. Now it's like, and I haven't been to the nail salon, no waxing or anything. So this is just like all the goodness, just filled in or whatever. But yeah, that's my feature that I like.
What about equality about you?
Quality. Oh yeah. Quality. Um, I like that. Dang, there's so okay. One thing that I truly like about myself, that I think is lost these days is, I like the fact that I'm a good listener. Like I still take the time to like listen to people, to hear their thoughts, to see where they're coming from. Um, I like that quality about
I love it. You got a lot of eyebrow crush in the comments.
me. What about you?
Let's see. I mean, I will say I like a lot about me. So let's start with a feature. Hands down has got to be my skin. It is just it is so smooth and most of the time blemish free. Um I will say that it wasn't always that way growing up. Like I had like acne like you wouldn't believe. But I really kind of cultivated it, and I just enjoy that it's just like a sheet of chocolate, like a chocolate sheet was dropped on his body. So I love that. That's probably one of my favorite features, the color and the smoothness of it. And then um as far as a quality, this is probably something that can't be seen on YouTube, but I like the fact that I have really strong discernment. And what I mean by that is not like, oh, is that a good person or a bad person? More so like I can hear somebody talking and hear the real issue. And I can speak to that even if they don't know what the issue is. And so that has served me well in my friendships, right? To kind of be able to friendships, family, even with myself, to really be like, what's really going on, like, and know how to ask the right questions to get to the root of something. And so, like, I feel like that's probably one of my most precious gifts that God has given me, is to be able to do that, and see it be healing for some people sometimes. So, yes. Somebody said Cadbury and Velvety. I love it.
Lots of love in the comment section. I love it. I love it. I love it, guys. I really do. This one was fun. Next week on Evelyn's channel, in between, follow us on Instagram for more love. I think we did all right today. We're like an hour and some 20 minutes and some change. I think last week we were like over 2 hours. But yeah, I enjoy this, guys. Let me see one last look at the comment section. This was so powerful. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming in, that these lives have been useful to you.
Get your book, ladies.
Yes, get your book, The Audacity to Be Queen by Gina DeVee, on Amazon, Audible. And we could be touching on it next week. I don't know. We haven't talked about next week's topic yet. But if not next week on Evelyn's channel, definitely here on my channel, we will be talking about it. So best wishes to all of you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Huh?
There's one question.
Mm-hmm.
You want to?
Quick question. Why do you think a woman would yell about everything? Ooh. That is so... Huh? That is a loaded question.
Yeah. Do you want to address that in the future? I know that there's a section in here that specifically talks about communication.
Mm-hmm.
And when women blow up, and then women when they don't speak up. Kind of both sides of the...
Yeah. Let's address that in the future, because honestly, yeah, there are a lot of parts of that. There's a lot of parts of that. What I will say is that should not be a way to communicate, and that there's more going on there. I'm not going to want these things to end, even when we get let out. Thanks so much. I'll be checking out the book. Alston Fam says, like, fuss, nag. Yeah, still not a means of communication for a woman. It's not. Yeah. Next video, please. We got you. Everyone, you got that? Because I'm going to forget. Yes.
We'll talk about women in communication.
Yes. Thanks so much. I'll be checking out the book. Awesome, ladies. So we'll see you guys next time. around this time on Tuesday. You guys have yourself a good evening and a good rest of your week. Bye.